The reality is he might not ever fight again. Like, who knows? Like, if he has surgery on his eye and it doesn't go well and he can't see out of the eye, apparently he's still fucked up in his right eye. There's some tendon damage or something. And, you know, eyes are so tricky. You never know. Like, unless you're a fucking complete psychopath like Michael Bisping, who fought 11 fights in the UFC blind and...
Joe Rogan has warned that the UFC may be moving toward a serious long-term issue. One that could affect more than just individual fighters if nothing changes. In his view, this kind of problem doesn't erupt suddenly or trigger immediate reform. It builds quietly over time, gradually sidelining contenders, stalling divisions without controversy, and causing damage that often goes unnoticed. By the time the full impact becomes clear, the consequences are already irreversible. That's why this discussion is so important, especially now, as recent cases involving Paddy Pimblett and Tom Aspinall have pushed the issue back into the spotlight. Two well-known fighters in different divisions are facing eye injuries that could keep them out for months or longer. Not because of dramatic knockouts, but due to damage that subtly and permanently shifted the course of their careers.
It's really bad how it looks. And he said, you can't train your eyeball to be stronger. It is what it is. You've protection here and here, but he obviously got no protection because the fingers were straight in. The fight should have been stopped. He couldn't see. It was a foul. He couldn't see. Then you can't fight. You know, if he'd have got knocked out with a head kick next, then it would have been worse. I don't know. And then he said, sometimes when your eyes here like that, it can become displaced and stay there. And they did a few tests on that, and they said it doesn't seem like that. And his vision on the eye that's the best eye, his eye wasn't following properly, so the muscles weren't working strong enough to go this way. This one just wasn't working that good at all. So we've got to have additional tests further this week, and Moyes is sorting the tests out for us. And he's got
The situation perfectly reflects the concern Joe Rogan has raised for years. He has repeatedly argued that eye pokes aren't random mishaps or rare accidents, but a built-in flaw of modern MMA. According to Rogan, fighters are taught to control range using outstretched arms, open hands, and continual framing, which makes eye contact an unavoidable risk within today's fighting style.
Just spoke to Pat Barry, who's in the hospital right now. You know, yesterday we spoke about Rose Namajunas talking to the fans in a very emotional state. It was heartbreaking to see. Remember that video? She's like openly sobbing. And shout out to the fans who were there to console her, to make her feel better. It was part heartbreaking and part beautiful to watch in a way. Anyway, right now as we speak, Rose is undergoing eye surgery, believe it or not. She was poked multiple times in the eye. They actually just sent me a photo of one of said pokes. Here's one photo that we have. There you go. And yeah, I mean, again, this is the thing with these. Like, you sit at home, you're like, okay, suck it up. You know, Tom Aspinall, suck it up. Well, guess what? Here's a photo of Rose heading into surgery as we speak. You can see her eye, and you're about to see more. And he tells me that she has, I'm going to try to get this right, a canalicular laceration, which is a break in the tear.
Approach is effective. It's fully legal and taught throughout every level of the sport. But as fighters become quicker, more precise, and increasingly aggressive, the room for mistakes narrows significantly. When the pace intensifies, accidental eye contact becomes nearly unavoidable. Yet when it happens, the response is often minimal, a brief warning from the referee. The bout carries on, and the audience quickly shifts its attention elsewhere.
The best part about fouling, right, is that it works. So the best thing you can do is like keep your head in your game, and I'll do everything I can to manage.
All that training for that? Yeah. Don't worry about you.
Trying to be okay, mate.
What are you doing? The left one was really deep. Both up. The left one was really both up. Yeah, sorry, but one twice before it. Yeah, twice before he got one for it.
Mike Bisping, he lost his eye. It's just a horrendous thing to think as a parent, really. And I know what it's like these days with people saying what they want, but if it's just your son, and they could lose an eye and their health, and they've got children to look after, you know, something needs doing about it.
No.
Yeah, it's horrendous for me to look at.
Real damage often appears long after the fight, sidelining athletes for months and quietly stalling divisions. Aspinall's injury froze the heavyweight picture immediately, while Paddy Pimblett fought on but is now facing delayed consequences at a key moment in his career. Different outcomes, same problem. One Joe Rogan says isn't about fighter mistakes, but outdated rules and glove design that increase the risk of eye injuries.
That's my thought, and tell me what you think about this. The UFC gloves, the way they are right now, why don't they cover the fingers? Why don't you have a glove where you have the padding on the knuckle, but that you just have a layer of leather that goes over the fingers and goes behind the hand like this?
Almost like Pride gloves a little bit, but over the fingers.
But covering the fingertips. The problem is the fingertips going into the eyes. Like every time you see a poke, it's like one finger going into the eyeball. But if you have it covered up, it would be different. Like it wouldn't be one poke going straight through. It'd be a layer of leather.
But I'll tell you this, I've been fighting for 25 years. I've never poked anybody in the eye, not even in training.
Eye pokes are probably the worst. I think when a guy gets eye poked, I think it should be a 1-point deduction no matter what. Because you can't see. I would say that's probably the worst out of all these things. You can speak to this.
Yeah,
I poked in the eye.
I know I've been poked in the eye, but I've poked a few dudes in the eye. I'm trying to stay out of this. I'm sitting here trying to figure out how I approach this. You're going to come to me. I was hoping you would look at Annie. You decided to ask me.
Unlike other combat sports that have updated their equipment as athletes evolved, MMA has largely stayed the same, and that's where frustration starts. To become concerned, when Dana White addressed the issue, many fans felt his response was blunt and dismissive, with no real sense of urgency or indication that change was coming. To a growing segment of the audience, it seemed like fighter safety was being treated as secondary rather than essential, and that perception carries real consequences. Long layoffs from eye injuries don't just affect bodies. They stall careers, freeze rankings, disrupt title races, and slowly erode trust in how the sport is run. Beneath it all, some fans even suspect that extended hands are sometimes used intentionally. Knowing enforcement is inconsistent and serious penalties are unlikely.
Do you have any updates about the eye of Tom Aspinall, and is there a rematch in the works?
Oh, Jesus. Don't let me talk about Tom Aspinall's eye. Apparently he's going in for a second surgery or just had it, and by surgery, I mean injections. I have no idea. Get a quote from him. God fucking forbid I say something about it. Go ahead.
Do you have any updates about the eye of Tom Aspinall, and is there a rematch in the works?
Oh, Jesus. Don't let me talk about Tom Aspinall's eye. Apparently he's going in for a second surgery or just had it, and by surgery, I mean injections. I have no idea. Get a quote from him. God forbid I say something about it. Go ahead.
Weird, Dana.
Jeez.
How close did you think you were to
Here's your quote. Catching strays, aren't I? Catching strays in my own living room on a Sunday morning.
Wouldn't it be interesting if Tom came out and said, no, I'm not going to rematch him. He's a cheater. Why would I rematch a guy that already cheated, that violated not one of my eyes, but both? I gave him his chance. He chose to cheat, and I'm going to move on. If Tom took that stance, which he's not going to do, I'm saying, but for fun, I think he'd have a lot of people that supported him. For some reason, Surreal has come out of this thing with his hands clean. He's the one that did the poking.
They've got to do something about these eye pokes. The rule is you got to have your hands like this, but you can still have your fingers out straight. You can't do that. You can do that. That's the stupidest rule I've ever seen in my life. Make a fist. Simple as that. You're throwing punches, and yeah, you got to parry shots, but you just got to unbend your fingers. It's really not that hard. This is a stupid rule.
Only Tom knows what happened. Could he see? Couldn't he see? Could he continue? I can't make people fight if they feel they've been injured. After the Jones fight, a lot of people wrote Cyril Gone off. He looked damn good tonight. I mean, he had Tom bloodied up, and Tom didn't want to continue in the fight. The rematch is
not because the sport promotes foul play, but because the system unintentionally rewards risk without offering strong deterrence. Even the existence of that perception is a red flag. Joe Rogan has been consistent in his warning. Fighters are faster, more advanced. I'm operating with thinner margins than ever before. If rules and equipment fail to keep pace, the sport will continue losing talent in quiet, damaging ways that never make highlight reels. The real threat isn't one bad moment or a single controversial fight, but a gradual breakdown where careers stall, divisions lose legitimacy, and the UFC reacts only after damage is done. If nothing changes, the issue won't disappear. We'll grow, and eventually the question won't be whether eye pokes are part of MMA, but why a solvable problem was ignored for so long.